morning, everyone. My name is Dr. Joshua, and I'm a lecturer from the Department of Industrial Engineering of Utah campus. Okay, today I'm actually going to brief you all about our program, specifically industrial management. So in the Department of Industrial Engineering, we are taking care of two programs. One is industrial engineering itself, and second is this industrial management. So this program was launched on 2019. So we call it the Bachelor of Technology Honors Industrial Management. We call it technology because it's a 3-year course. Okay, it's based in Kampa campus. The medium of instruction, of course, is English, and the credit hours is 120 units. Okay, 120 units would mean that roughly per year is around 40 units. Okay, so the total program fees for, if you're Malaysian, is approximately 44,000 ringgit. Okay, so next. Okay, what is industrial management? So if you are familiar with industrial engineering, sidetrack a bit. Industrial engineering talks more about the manufacturing process only, the manufacturing perspective of any organization. But when we talk about industrial management, the word management would mean that when we are improving the manufacturing aspect, we have to take into account the business perspective also. Okay, so that means we have to balance the manufacturing with the business. Okay, so a brief background about how an organization works. Any manufacturing organization, they will have a few divisions. Okay, we have strategic planning, which they set the objectives, the resource management, the deployment of assets, and then when we talk about the manufacturing side, we measure the results of the manufacturing performance, and we store the records of whatever we have for future use. Okay, so this is a very broad area of any manufacturing organization. So let's say nowadays, if you were to study industrial engineering, you would focus more only on measuring the results and store records for future use. If you are studying probably business studies, you would focus more on managing resources. If you are somewhere in the management position, you would be focusing more on strategic planning and setting objectives. Okay, so it's very rare to have someone who, or it's very rare to have any particular course that focus on all of this. Okay, so again, planning encompasses direction, planning, adjustment, control, and cooperation, and it involves every member of the organization, not just the management. Okay, so as I explained earlier, each person got its own role in the organization. Some plan, some deploy, some measure. Okay, so in industrial management, what we do is we look at the bigger picture. Instead of focusing only on manufacturing, we focus on all aspects of the relationship. Basically, in the previous slide, we talked about deployment of resources. Specifically, we're looking at healthy labor management and industrial peace. Okay, we have to take into account the safeguard of workers, fix the wage, provide working conditions, other security measures, and take into account trade union. Basically, when you're working in industrial management, you're working in manufacturing, but you're taking into account the business perspective also. That means not just the movement of product or delivering any output to your customer, you're taking care of your workers at the same time. So when you're taking care of your workers, you have to interact a lot with people. Okay. So this diagram is actually a very broad idea about how industrial management process works in a factory. Again, this is just an idea only. Of course, when we talk about the actual thing you're doing in the actual organization, it's much more than this. Basically, there are 4 stages: plan, do, check, and act. When we talk about planning, what we do is we are planning the policy or the management of your factory when you take into account all the regulations set by certain, for example, standards, ASME, IP. These are all standards that are universal. So when you want to plan specifically for the organization you work, you have to take into account all these and plan accordingly. When you talk about do, you implement the thing. And then, of course, when you implement something, along the way, if you make mistakes, you do corrective action. And then the audit department will feed back to you whether or not you need to do any corrective action. Okay, So you see, when we talk about industrial management, we are doing the planning and the doing. Okay. When we talk about check, anytime during the audit, they found out there's any discrepancies, we have to go back to the planning stage and adjust our planning. And then after check, we do act. Okay. Act is we fix whatever discrepancies we have, and then from there we go back to the planning and adjust. So you see, every time you make any changes, you go back to planning. So that's why, as an someone who studies industrial management, you don't focus. Okay, example, industrial engineering, you focus on the production, you do very little planning. In industrial management, you work in the production floor, you do stuff, at the same time you go back and you plan. Okay, so this gives you an idea that industrial management actually requires a lot more knowledge than the basic engineering. Okay, specifically in Utah, when we talk about industrial management, we study, because you require knowledge from many different areas, so you study many different types of courses. Okay, the first one, of course, you study the basic engineering course. Okay, the reason you need to still study engineering course is because industrial management is sort of a subset of industrial engineering. Okay, so what you do is you study, it's not really advanced engineering. So the basic courses you study are just like mathematics, circuits, and drawing. Okay, this is just compulsory courses, and it's not difficult because these are foundation courses. You want the student to be master this before they move on to the more difficult courses. Okay, so these are the basic engineering ones. And then at the same time, because industrial management, you focus on management and engineering. So the engineering courses that you are required to study after the basic courses are planning your inventory. Example, you operate your facility, operation of your facilities and all that. Okay, when we talk about management, you study finance, accounting, and project management. Okay, so you can see that you cover quite a big scope. Okay, for industrial management. Okay, so what are the advantages and challenges of industrial management? Okay, let's talk about the advantages first. Every type of job that you work will definitely have advantage and disadvantage. There's no one job in the world with only advantage. Okay, it's how you look at it. So for industrial management, of course, the mean annual wage is actually quite a good yearly salary. The reason you expect a very good salary for this one, for fresh grad, you would expect about 3,000 plus. Okay, the reason is because 3,000 ringgit plus. The reason is because as an industrial management expert, you need knowledge from engineering and management also. So you are quite knowledgeable. So that's why they need someone with these two areas of knowledge, not just someone who's only good at management or only good at engineering. Okay, you can work for businesses of all kinds. Okay, this is another advantage because every businesses, you have all these businesses that are stated: automotive, aerospace, oil, food. All these have manufacturing as well as management. Okay. Besides working in manufacturing organizations, you can also work in service sector, hospital, banks. Okay. And then in terms of versatility, because you have knowledge in management and manufacturing, you can work in the management aspect, project management, quality assurance, or manufacturing, supply chain management, and all that. Okay. So like any other jobs, you have challenges also. Because you are working in both you are taking into account the management and the manufacturing aspect. Most of the times you have difficult decisions to make. You want to please the manufacturing, which means sometimes it comes at the expense of the management. Okay, sometimes it's up to you to decide which one weighs more to you. Okay, and then long work hours. Okay, this is generally everyone also works about this long now. Okay, extra shift only if you're focused more on the manufacturing. Okay, and wearing many hats, again, you see, wearing many hats is not really a disadvantage. Okay, because you have wide knowledge, so that's why wearing many hats is another way to saying that you're versatile. Okay, so industrial management is recognized in Malaysia by the Malaysian Board of Technologies. Every course that is recognized by an approved body in Malaysia, which would also mean that you are recognized in other countries and would mean that you have the opportunity to visit other countries for studies or for job opportunities also. Okay. Okay, so we've covered the basics about our program. Now let's look at what facilities that Utah has to offer to cater to this program. Okay, so we have a few laboratories. You would notice that a lot of these labs coincide with some of the engineering labs. Okay, the reason is because, as I mentioned earlier, industrial management, you have the engineering aspect and also the management aspect. Okay, so when we talk about labs, of course, labs refer more to the engineering aspect. Okay, so this is one of the labs we have. This is called the Daikin lab. In this lab, we do mostly about energy studies. Okay, okay. So in this lab, we have air conditioning system and heat systems we study. Okay. This is the main lab for industrial management. This is the industrial engineering lab. They call it industrial engineering lab, but basically all the courses that you learn in industrial management, the courses that is referring specifically to engineering, most of the equipments are found here. Okay, so in this we have robots, of course, and then we have softwares for you for designing. Remember that one of the basic courses is drawing, so this is where you learn to draw. Okay, some softwares such as AutoCAD, we have it, and then this is another software that we use to plan for a factory layout. It's called a witness simulation. Okay. Okay, we also have 3D printer. Again, once you draw, sometimes you want to build a prototype, so you use this printer to build a prototype and see if it works or not. Okay, and then besides that, we also have other smaller but necessary equipment such as pneumatics. We also have a flexible manufacturing system. What this is a flexible manufacturing system is a group of machines that are integrated together to work as a whole. That means you integrate the robot with the pneumatic, with the CNC machine. So one part, you build there's a conveyor system to transport it throughout all these machines. That's why they call it a flexible manufacturing system. Flexible because it moves around the machines. Okay. Okay, CNC machines, as mentioned earlier. Okay. Besides that, we also have industrial engineering workshop. This is where the equipments that are not placed in the lab just now, we put it here. These are equipment such as welding, drilling, grinding. Okay. Again, you may wonder, why do I need to learn all this? Again, in the basic courses, these are all covered there. Okay. You need hands-on practical. Okay. So other labs that we have, environmental lab, electronics lab, again, these are not our major labs, but we have certain courses with certain studies that you need to do here. Okay. Okay. So now that we've covered that, let's look at the importance of industrial engineering in Malaysia. Okay, so in Malaysia, manufacturing is very important. Okay, you know that now manufacturing in Malaysia has increased 5.6% over the same month. Okay, so a lot of statistics have proven that manufacturing will remain a key contributor to our economy. Okay. So because of that, many studies have done to find out that as manufacturing is important, industrial management will remain important also. Okay, so that's all for today's presentation. If you would like to know more about this course, you can refer to this website and contact us. There are two websites here. One is specific for industrial management, where you can get more information about the program, and one is the faculty website. This faculty website, fegt.utah, that is where this program is parked in. Okay, so any information you can contact here. I believe in the websites there are also contact numbers for you to refer to. Okay, so that's all for today. Thank you.